All right, we are live coming to you from Quinnipiac in Philadelphia. This is, for fantasy's sake, the Monday Night Hammer. Um, the What we're going to go through today is we're going to go through some usage today because we need a little optimism. The fact here is that I got crushed this week, Mike. Absolutely destroyed.
Oh, I don't want to
Um,
hear that.
Absolutely crushed. I did not. I lost a lot more than I won, which is not really how this is supposed to work. But you know what? I dug into the numbers. I put the kimono on, and we're gonna be all right because the usage is there for the guys that we're on. Sounds like you had a little bit better of a week for you. How was your week?
Oh, it was really a mixed bag. My DFS week play went well. I had the CD play. I had a Mike Williams play, who's only 6% owned in the DFS one that I did on Yahoo. But so that was nice. But I dropped 210 in one of my dynasty leagues. That was fun. And then I
All
got
right.
destroyed in two other ones, which immediately sent me into a little bit of a rebuild. So it was an up and down week. You taking what you win some, you lose some. That's fantasy
Yeah,
football.
yeah. It was a wild week out there, an absolutely wild week. Not a single kicker could make a kick.
Oh my god,
The
unwatchable.
The Browns and the Chargers put up 5,000 points, and Justin Herbert is the second coming of Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, all combined into one, and he has better
Very
hair than all of
watchable.
them. So,
Yes.
um, yeah, let's get right into it. We got to do a little injury roundup here. They're starting to pile up on us. Saquon Barkley, 2 to 4 weeks with an ankle. They showed his ankle on the broadcast, which I thought was a bit out of bounds. I'd rather they not do that. It looked about the size of a softball. I mean, he's got big legs, which therefore means he has big ankles, but not that big. Um, and I also put a note here. Kadarius Toney. I think the best way to describe his game was a beautiful disaster. If you drafted him in Dynasty, good for you because I wasn't on him. It does look like that he's going to be okay um, if he can stay on the field. Because here's what happened to him: 10 receptions, 189 yards. Looked spry. Looked kind of like he did in his breakout year, which the reason why the analytics guys like me weren't really on him is he had a late breakout on a team that wasn't very good. Like I guess Freddie, what is his name? Freddie Swain played over him in his sophomore year um, or junior year. But anyway, that was the good. He was right there when Barkley got hurt. He wasn't the culprit of the ankle, but I think he kind of rerouted a player on the other team, and like that step, just
Um,
Saquon Barkley cannot catch a break. And
he really
then
can't.
he headbutted Jabril Peppers on the sideline, and then he punched someone with his bare fist while the other person had a helmet on. Which to me, I know that happens. He's not the only
It's
person ever
every
done that.
year, every
I can't
single year.
I can't wrap my head around it. They're wearing a helmet and you're gonna throw hands. Um, that's not this isn't about Kadarius Toney. I just had to point that out. What a mess. Kenny Galladay, put him into a cannon and fire him straight into the sun because he's not very good and he's hurt right now.
Whoa, whoa,
He's gonna
whoa, whoa,
miss
whoa.
he's gonna miss he avoided a major knee injury. I just saw an update, but he may be out a week or two, which I mean might be a blessing for teams that drafted him because he has been disappointing. What do you have to say about Kenny Galladay?
Okay, well, first, Eddie Goud is a very talented player that is completely limited by a Jason Garrett offense and a Daniel Jones quarterback. However, I wasn't in on him before the season because of those two factors, and his health is an issue. It's been an issue for a year now, or 2 years now. Um,
He didn't
I mean,
come
he
into
was a
the season
fan.
healthy. Yeah, he didn't come
Yeah,
into the season
yeah,
healthy.
and he didn't come in. So this is the type of thing where we worried that it was going to linger, and it's lingering. Where he's a big physical guy, he's gonna, he's taken a lot of hits over the last few years, and he's a contested catch guy. He's not going to separate, but he's going to win those balls. And I'm hearing that he's going to be out for according to Rappaport, he's going to be out for the next couple of weeks. He's definitely out for this week. Um, so it'll be really interesting to see if Sterling Shepard or Darius Slayton can get back on the field. Slayton would be the biggest beneficiary if he get back out there. Um,
Yeah.
but it's too early to tell if any Giant is going to be healthy outside of Kadarius Toney, who's not expected to get a suspension for that punch as well.
Yeah. Also, there was like a weird update today. Like someone tweeted that Kadarius Toney avoided a season-ending injury, which no one thought that he had an injury that was close to season-ending. But it was like a mistake, and the guy like walked it back. But yeah, he's like the last man standing there. They're just gonna pepper him with targets, it seems, and yeah, we'll see. He might have a solid year after not really being popular in the draft streets this year. Um,
Is Devontae Booker your number one waiver pickup, or do you want to hold off on that? Because the real thing here, listen, I am so anti Devontae Booker. It's not even funny. I think he's terrible,
yeah,
unwatchable, really. But I've used that word a lot. Um, but if Sterling Shepard's out, if Darius Slayton's out, if Kenny Galladay's out, and it's just Kadarius Toney and Evan
hmm
Ingram in very positive game scripts, Devontae Booker's going to catch a lot of passes. He's going to catch a lot of passes on dump downs, whether it's Mike Glennon or Daniel Jones. He's going to catch the ball. And even if touchdowns don't come, when you have volume on the ground and volume through the air, that gets it done. That's an RB2, locked and loaded.
yeah, definitely. And I would view Devontae Booker the same way we viewed Damian Williams last week. He's going to give you 2 to 4-ish weeks of really solid usage. It looks like. I mean, we'll see on Barkley. It kind of depends. Like, are they going to rush him back out there if this team's
No,
bad and Daniel Jones? Like, so we're probably
they're
looking
going to
closer
take
to
it
4 weeks.
cautious with Saquon.
Yeah,
They're going to take it so
we're probably
cautious.
looking. I mean, also though, he had a little bit of an ankle issue or something before the torn ACL. He is like kind of a freakish human being where he does seem to heal faster than most
Yes, he
human
does.
beings. So like keep that in mind. But I mean, Booker's a tough one because in my opinion, like it's so situational dependent. So like me, zero RB guy who if I'm sitting at like 2 and 3 or 1 and 4, like I'm selling out. I'm gonna need those 2 weeks of like RB2 usage bad in some leagues. So I'm burning the waiver priority. I'm taking 40% of my whatever I have left in my fab budget and just throwing it in there. If I've already spent a lot and I don't have a whole, I'm selling out to get Booker, which is gross, but it's kind of the situation we find ourselves in sometimes when we take these big risks by not drafting running backs.
I'm gonna take that soundbite of I'm selling out to get Booker. That's all. That's all I want
Yeah,
to say.
yeah, okay. We'll
Yeah.
hopefully it works out. Um, Daniel Jones, speaking of him, concussion, they're monitoring. That looked like a bad one. He like
Yeah.
almost fell over. So I imagine he won't clear protocol, but brain injuries are weird. Who knows? Juju Smith-Schuster shoulder out for the season. Sad face. That's the bad news as Steeler fans. He's a fun player. Both of us have his jersey. Another outlet for Big Ben and his noodle arm. But I guess if there's a bright side of this, it does probably open up things a little bit for Claypool and Deontay if you drafted them, which you never want to see that type of thing happen because of an injury. But that offensive target tree probably got a little more narrow. But James Washington can play a little bit, so I think they may he may just step right in and demand some targets as well. What do you think about the Steelers situation?
I think it hurts the offense as a whole. It might raise the floor of Claypool and Deontay, where Deontay caught what 2 balls this week, and we were like, okay, I don't like he caught a long touchdown, so we were happy. But so maybe that floor is a little bit higher, but it's just a shame because Juju's role in this offense is not, and we said it before the season, it's not as a fantasy producer. It's not. He's a chain mover. He's the guy Big Ben
Yeah,
trusts to get the ball. He'll throw to him on third downs just as
yeah.
much as he'll throw to Deontay. And it's losing a trustworthy piece. The one thing I thought of when this injury happened is he's a free agent. How will this
hmm
affect his market? Because I think what this does open him to a return to Pittsburgh. I think that does keep him in the running for returning to Pittsburgh, at a discounted price, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think this affects his value a whole lot because people know what he is. He's a Robin, but a really good Robin to a Batman. I think, oh, man, I mean, like we're Steelers fans here, but I mean, the Kansas City, they offered him what, 9 million or something, and
We're paying him 9. They offered him, I think, 12.
yeah, really
Right?
bizarre. He should have Or it was flip flopped. I don't know what it
Or
was, but he
Baltimore
should.
was offering 12, and then
Yeah, he
KC
should
offered
have.
10. Yeah.
He should have taken the money to go to Kansas City because that would have been a really good fit for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, here we are. Let's run through some of these. Damian Harris ribs. It looks like he's gonna be okay. Curtis Samuel groin just can't be trusted right now. They may hold him out and get him healthy. I would just drop him honestly. If
He's
you have,
considered week to week unless you have an IR, maybe you stash him. But
you
if
can't
he's
play
not
him.
IR eligible, yeah, you really can't play him until you're because the first week he's back, you're not going to play him. So you're going to wait
Yeah.
another week, which means this is really like 3 to 4 weeks. So if he doesn't get on the IR, if you're not IR eligible or you don't have this, if the spot's filled already,
Yeah.
you can cut him. Maybe he's a buy low in dynasty, right now
Yeah.
as a
yeah.
as a post type sleeper next year. I think that could really happen, but it's too volatile right
Yeah.
now.
I'm still waiting for Paris Campbell to hit that post type sleeper. Maybe tonight. Maybe he'll be your Rand guy.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
it's my captain.
Max Williams looks like he's out for the season. Pretty major leg injury. Taysom Hill concussion. Just monitoring that. I didn't see anything about that today. Deontay Harris scored 170-yard touchdown and then was out because of a hamstring. Deontay Harris. Let's talk about him. Is he the number one there? I mean, was he the number
It's
one before he went
meaningless.
down? Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
meaningless. He was before, but I mean he's a streaky player.
Yeah.
And he's good at what he does. He'll run deep and he'll catch a touchdown. And that can get it done. But if he doesn't catch that touchdown, then what's 5 for 52 is normally a good week for him. But what I'd expect is the 3 for 31, the 1 for 9, the 2 for 72 that he puts up. If he doesn't get in the end zone, then I'm not really looking for it.
Yeah.
And I don't trust anyone on that Saints offense right now. I'll play Kamara because he's talented and he's a good player. I will play Michael Thomas when he gets back because he's talented and he's a good player. I am not touching Jameis. I'm not touching Marquez Callaway. I'm not buying into this week of the Hail Mary touchdowns for Callaway. He's let me down too much.
The Saints. So I was watching Red Zone yesterday. Every time the Washington Saints game came on, it was like it was a circus. It was like like there was something ridiculous happening, and like that to me is just the Saints this year. They're an absolute circus. Like weird 5 touchdown games on like 10 total passes. Defensive turnovers on both sides of the ball. Like Jameis Winston will look like Joe Montana one play and like literally like a backup high school quarterback the next. Like the team is so volatile. Sean Payton, I think, is the only thing holding that thing together, just with being creative. But the team is bad. Jameis Winston is fun, but no one wants him to be their starting quarterback.
He's bad.
Oh boy.
He's a bad quarterback.
He is bad.
I'm
He's
sorry.
Bad. He's bad. You can't turn the ball over as much as him.
He's the same player he's always been. He will throw a gorgeous deep ball to Deontay Harris, but then he will throw a floater of the ball across the middle that gets picked off. It's unbelievably inconsistent. He hasn't changed. He's not going to progress. He's a backup who will win you a game in a spot maybe, and then he'll lose it for you next week. And that's what you want from a backup, but I don't want it as my starter. Yeah. If he hasn't put it together, we'll see what happens with Thomas. Reserve when he gets an actual good weapon. Receivers are not that good there. But man, I'm disappointed.
Yeah, we got to give him the benefit of the doubt because his receivers are bad. CEH, this is a tough one. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It looks like he's going to miss a few weeks with a sprained MCL. He did kind of dodge a pretty major injury there. Who are you picking up on the wire? Help me out here with this column I got to write. Is it McKinnon or Darrell Williams? I think I know who I want.
I want it to be McKinnon just because I've always wanted McKinnon to be something, but it's Darrell Williams.
The mentor.
Darrell Williams. Yeah, Darrell Williams is the guy who's been in the offense. He got more snaps. They did a pretty even split. Of Darrell Williams got 43% of snaps. McKinney got 31. That's not too different. McKinney got a couple catches in there, but so did Darrell. Darrell's the Damian Williams of this offense. He's not as good as Damian Williams. Damian Williams isn't that great to begin with, but it's the Chiefs' offense. They play Washington next week. It's not a great matchup, but if I'm playing one of Williams, I go Devontae Booker or both.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm probably going to put bids in for Darrell Williams, but I
I
likely
will.
won't get him because people are probably, I wouldn't burn like a waiver priority for him. And I'm
Yeah.
probably not going to win a whole lot of bids for him because
No, yeah, no more than
if,
$5 for me. Like
if,
5% of my budget, 10% of my budget max.
because the thing is if Kansas City needed more of a reason not to run the ball, like they were already like allergic to it, even with CEH, who they took in the first round. They obviously think is talented. I'm not sure we're seeing that on the field as much as I don't know if he is a first round talent, but that's neither here nor there. But I mean, they may just completely abandon the run, go full Tampa Bay, go full Bills, go full what the Bengals should be doing, and just throw the ball 40 plus times a game and only run when they're up 3 touchdowns.
And they have to figure something out. So
Yeah, they got to right the ship.
That could very well mean just listen, Mahomes, we're gonna need you to do some more, and maybe it's just putting the like. I mean, I'm gonna quickly look up Mahomes's. I mean, he threw the ball 54 times against Buffalo and did not have much success, but I think that's what they're gonna try to do. I think we're gonna start
Mhm.
seeing Mahomes throwing the ball in the 40s. Maybe Josh Gordon becomes a bigger part of this offense, but I'm not holding out hope for that either.
Ooh, that's a hot one. That's a hot one.
Maybe they all suck
We'll
outside
see.
of Tariq.
That may be their problem, man. It seems like
It is.
for the past few years, it was like they were content with like, okay, you can take away either Kelsey or Tyreek, but you can't take away both. Like, I don't know, small
Yeah.
sample, but it seems like some defenses might have figured out the recipe. But I
And
say that,
they
and then
tried.
they'll put up 60 points next week. So
Yeah. And my I'll say my final point, but that I mean they've tried to fix it. They just haven't plugged it with the right hole. It's like it's very similar to Belichick of recognizing the problem and trying to do something about it, but just continually finding the wrong one. Miko Hardman is a nobody. Josh Gordon is nothing really. This is a stopgap at best. Sammy
mhm.
Watkins was just a guy. Um, what's it called? I'm blanking. They tried signing Juju. They didn't get him. They
Yeah,
recognized that there's
Byron
a problem
Pringle,
with
Demarcus
yeah.
Robinson. These are
They spent a first on Elaire, and I mean they've tried to plug it with mediocre options and they haven't really done it
mhm.
yet. They're gonna have to take it seriously. I think this is the type of team that we'll see how the draft shakes out, but maybe they're looking at a receiver in the first round.
Yeah. Oh man, that'd be fun.
It would be.
Yeah, a lot of Jags outside of Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelsey.
Yep.
Just a guy. Just a guy. You
Just
and
a
I
guy.
could suit up. You and I could suit up and go for 100 with Mahomes
Pretty
back there.
much. Yeah. I'll send my
I'm a
flag
shit.
football tape.
Yeah. I think you're more of a Wes Welker archetype. I'm more of a
Kenny
possession
Galladay?
receiver. I'm more of a
Oh.
possession receiver down the field. I'll go up and get it.
Kenny Galladay. All right,
I
go
can
up
jump
and
through
get
the
it.
gym. Actually, no. Last time I was on a football field, I broke my ribs. But anyway, some utilization. Let's hit it. I wish we had a jingle for this, but going through the stuff that matters that you might not see in the box score. So this is how we kind of get ahead of some things. Elijah Mitchell, San Francisco lead back. If you watch the game, you probably saw this. Kind of a modest fantasy day, but I mean, 81% of the rushes and a 7.1% target share. Like that's what we want. And I still am a believer in this offense. I think Jimmy G will be back sooner rather than later, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's good for the offense for Jimmy G just because Trey Lance is really not seeing the field well yet, which is expected out of a rookie. We're kind of seeing that from a lot of our rookies. They're having very rookie-like seasons. So, like I said, if Mitchell ended up on the waiver wire again, if someone really needs to move someone because they're panicking and they can't wait for Mitchell to kind of get back into things, like I would be trading for him in Dynasty. I would be trading for him in season long. And you could probably like sneak him in, be like, all right, give me this player A for player B and close the gap between player A and player B with Elijah Mitchell. Like you can get a deal done like that. Like I have a good example for you. I did like something like Jamar Chase for Allen Robinson and Elijah Mitchell. Would I do that today? No. But that's the type
Yeah.
of thing with like a couple of good wide receivers, and then with a pretty big gap in between Robinson and Chase right now, close that with Elijah Mitchell. That's a good deal. What do you think?
Elijah Mitchell is if I listen to Dynasty Nerds, I'm not sure if you do. I did that over the offseason a bit. And Elijah Mitchell was a guy that they touted as a listen, I think he's a fine player, but we've seen Kyle Shanahan will use whoever he wants. We anointed Trey Sermon prematurely, based
Hmm.
on draft capital, and that's just not the case. That's not how Kyle Shanahan does it. That's not how he's ever done it. So
Yeah,
this it makes sense. This Elijah Mitchell usage, it makes sense when you really think
yeah,
about it. Trey Sermon saw two
not
snaps,
great,
and
not great.
he has not done anything to show that he deserves more, and he has not earned passing downs, and there's not really many other options outside of Elijah Mitchell. So
Yeah,
if Trey Sermon is not trusted, then it's going to be Kyle Juszczyk and Elijah Mitchell. So it's a valuable role. I agree that Jimmy Garoppolo is much better for this offense, and I I'm tentatively against buying all 49ers running backs based on history of doing so, but there's value there. So if
hmm,
you get Mitchell as anywhere close to being a throw in value, like if I could send a second for him, I'd do that.
yeah, yeah. You could probably get that done.
You probably could.
Yeah. So, like I said, this is he's gonna. I mean, if he stays healthy, if it seems like 49ers really struggle with that, but he's gonna be someone that you want to fire up as that offense starts to gain some steam and gets healthier overall. Chenault, Laviska Chenault actually did not see increased usage with Chark. It could be a weird like variance thing, but he saw 3 targets. We were kind of excited about him kind of running some routes down the field, and on top of his like intermediate routes, but something called Agnew led that team in targets with 8. And Urban
Ugh.
Meyer said that he wants to be a 250 team where they run for 250 yards and pass for 250 yards. Talk about putting someone in a cannon and firing them straight into the sun. I cannot wait for Urban Meyer to get fired.
I want nothing more. I think we both agreed on this in the offseason that Urban Meyer was not going to work out and that Urban Meyer was our biggest. I think we did, right? I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
But regardless, it's really disappointing. Like this was the week where listen, there's no DJ Chark, which I thought helped Marvin Jones more than helped Visca, but there's still a big target gone. They're going against Tennessee, which just lost to the Jets. It's a terrible defense. The Tennessee
Hmm.
defense is such a shame because that team should be so much better than they are, but that defense is bad, and they could not get it done. Or Visca could not get it done, and listen, he was out there. He was out there for 73% of snaps. It's not good enough for not to only see 3 targets, to only catch one of them. And he was with that one catch he had, and that's the type of player he is. He's a rat guy. But man, he needs to get more involved. And like I give it one more week. I'm not gonna hold him through the bye week. If he has a good week in week 6 against Miami, I'll hold him. If he doesn't, that's where I'm cutting bait. I'm not gonna hold him through the bye week. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to skip over a few of these because I don't think they're as important. I want to skip down to Gio Bernard was back, and some people were kind of a little worried about Fournette because he was getting like 3 to 5 targets per game with Gio out. It seems, I mean, it seems that he is retaining that 2 minute down role. It seems like they kind of like Fournette a little bit better than Gio there. Gio did score a touchdown, of course, but Fournette's usage is that of almost a workhorse. So again, like buy low. It seems like a lot of people want to trade Fournette away. I'm probably going to be targeting him where I can, seeing what I can get or what I have to give up to get him. More so in season long. Not really going to try that in dynasty, but what'd you see out of Fournette? I mean, he's kind of. I mean, Lombardi Lenny's here to stay. It looks like.
It confounds reason. But I'm not a big Fournette guy, but it just because I don't like him doesn't mean I'm putting the shaders onto what he's doing. And
Yeah.
getting the like my worry from him before the season, which was reflected in or wasn't reflected, I guess, but I thought he would lose his passing work. But without Gio there, with Gio hurt, that's a big deal. That is a genuine big deal. Gio did miss his. Oh, Gio was back. Excuse me. I'm sorry. But okay, so I'm going to rephrase this entire thing and say that I agree with you. The role he
Okay.
has is very valuable, and saying that he has the goal line work on a very powerful offense. and somehow even with Gio, catching passes. I really don't know how that's happening. Maybe this is
Well, he has
Brady.
Brady's trust. He has Brady's
Yeah,
trust. What it comes
I
down
don't
to.
know. Again, I don't know how because he's whiffed on plenty of blocks. He's dropped plenty of passes that turn into picks. But
Yeah.
what if he has Brady's trust? Who am I to say otherwise?
I will say
And
there's nothing
Brady's
like
yeah.
Fournette with a head of steam. It just seems like, I mean, all the way back from his like days at LSU, like there's like that doesn't show up in the box score, like what he does to you if he just runs you over. You know what I mean? Let's keep moving.
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton still smashed despite being banged up. He was on a route in 91% of his pass plays. That's crazy usage, even with the ankle. He accounted for 32% of the team targets from Teddy Bridgewater, 47% of the air yards, and 3.01 yards per route run. Anything over 2.0 yards per route run is crazy. So 3.0 yards per route run is an absolute savage number. Noah Fant ran a route on 88% of the pass plays. This is without Hamler. This is without Judy. Tim Patrick had a nice little day, but not really great usage. Noah Fant was only targeted on 12% of his routes. You could see that tick back up. Judy's going to be back soon, it seems.
I can't wait.
But that offense will be right back there. And Sutton seems to be a favorite target of Teddy's, and he's getting it done. So kudos to you that held on to Sutton, believed in Sutton, probably got a nice little discount on him this year.
Yeah, he's a good player. I mean, the real thing is, I do want to see how this offense flows with a fully healthy Judy. I think there's room for Judy. I think there's room for Sutton. I think Judy's going to be fantastic because he's just that good of a player. But we haven't seen this offense at what it could be, and we're not going to this year. I mean, we lost KJ Hamler as well. But I mean, no offense. I think the one that it did take a downtick this week, but I think he's the one that loses out to Judy coming back. I think Sutton's too good of a player not to be involved. And like you said, I think he has the trust. He's seen over 5 targets in all but one game this year, and that game was against the Giants, which was to my memory, I believe it was a route, right? Whether it was or not, but that was also with Judy. So it's not unlikely that Cortland maintains wide receiver 2 value. I think there's a world where Judy helps him, where that offense just gets better. I mean, if you, like you said, you could have bought him low this offseason. If you did, it's paying off.
Yeah. Let's move on. Higgins was back for the Bengals, so people were kind of interested to see how that target share would shake out. The Bengals aren't throwing it a whole lot. They're in the bottom 3 of the league in total team air yards with about 230 or so per game, which is a shame because they have some really good receivers. This weekend was a little bit different just because they had to air it out to keep up with Aaron Rodgers. 22-22, that's a 44-point over-under. Still not a high-flying game. So if they do get into a shootout, like, wheels up for these guys. But Higgins was at a 22% target share, so he stepped right back into a really solid role. Chase was at a 25% target share. Chase has 63% of the team's air yards. These are all really, really good numbers. And I just have here Chase is good. Chase is really, really good.
This is my official I was wrong for this year. That this is probably the thing I was most wrong about, and I will say it. I don't know if I officially claimed it yet. I don't think I did.
So you mentioned it last week. You mentioned it last week, but every week it gets a little bit. You get a little bit more wrong every week.
and this is where I'm going to just stop being wrong, and I'm just going to call it, which means it's going to be terrible next week. But I'm just going to say, like, listen, he may be touchdown dependent in a way, but those targets have gone up in several weeks now, and he's just an alpha. And I said he was. I said he was great. I said he was going to be great. I didn't think it would happen this year, but that's going to happen. It is happening. Right now he's, I believe, based on the research I did in the offseason, of top 10 drafted receivers in the NFL draft, the highest finish in the last 10 years was Mike Evans at, I think, wide receiver 13. So right now, Chase is ahead of that. And I think we could see him slide down a little bit with T. Higgins healthy, getting healthier.
But
he's
definitely got some regression coming for sure.
Yes, he does. Yeah, the touchdowns are he's not going to score 20 touchdowns this season, but he will be very good for your fantasy team for this year and years to come. He's going to be a top 15 option this year, probably.
Yeah. I will say that if you have to feel like the Bengals kind of like where they're at right now. I mean, they gave the Packers everything they can handle. So I don't get the sense that they're going to ramp up the passing, especially with Joe Mixon probably getting a little bit more healthy. I mean, he played this week. He didn't play a lot, but he played this week. So I don't think their game plan changes much. But like I said, if something happens where they start passing it more, that's going to balance out some of this touchdown variance that he's due for. Chase, that is. But again, he scored 20 touchdowns in college in 1 year, so he kind of does have a nose for the end zone.
And it could easily get offset by, like, listen, the Bengals, obviously, they just lost to Green Bay. They're winning games. The Cincinnati Bengals are winning games. They're a winning team right now. Those game scripts aren't helping Chase. And if it starts going the other way, that will. They haven't had to air it out.
Yeah. Man, I would have loved to see him last year when Joe Burrow was throwing it 60 times a game. Literally, there was a game the Browns, he threw for 60 times. One other little stat here. This is more fun than anything. I love these little comparisons. There's one other receiver that has in their first 5 games 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. Who is it in their rookie year?
One more time.
There's one other receiver that in their first 5 games has 5 touchdowns and over 400 yards. Who is it?
Chase Claypool.
It's not. Good guess, but it's Randy Moss. Randy Moss. So
Randy Moss. Okay.
Good receiver. Good receiver. It's good whenever I would say that's a good thing to be compared to him. Let's skip down here to Dalton Schultz, seeing 20% of the team's targets the last 3 weeks. Is this sustainable? You have a little note here. Little Michael Gallup touch and go. Well, tell me more.
So Schultz is interesting because he's looked good. Like, this isn't just, if you've watched the games, he's played well. And Jarwin's off the field. This is not Schultz's role. Schultz has won this role, and he's going to be the starting tight end for this team. He's definitely benefiting from Michael Gallup being out. There's not a third receiver being utilized. This is a mix of Noah Brown and Cedric Wilson, which is not really any sustainable role, and I'm sure Schultz is picking up the slack. But at the same time, we're seeing over in Buffalo, Dawson Knox is having a breakout year. These third-year tight ends, they're obviously like, it's years for tight ends. Like, Schultz played well last year too. This is not just a rookie year, normal for a tight end, improved second year, and playing very well third year. That's, to me, there's a trend here. I completed a trade in Dynasty today, and someone was pressing me, being like, "Hey, can I have Dalton Schultz as well?" And I'm like, I don't view him as a throw-in. I view him as someone, he's the tight end 3 right now. And that'll come back when Gallup gets back. But for now,
here's what needs to happen for him to sustain this and be, I guess, a top 12, top 10 tight end throughout. When Michael Gallup comes back, if he's still kind of splitting snaps with Blake Jarwin, because Blake Jarwin's solid. But if he's still splitting snaps and stuff like that with Jarwin when Gallup comes back, you may see a pretty big crater there. But right now he's splitting those snaps, but it seems like they really like Schultz in the red zone. Dak's looking his way when he's on the field. So this is the making of, like you said, a breakout year. Like, he's earning targets. Targets are not something that just happen to you. You earn them. I tell that
especially
to the
in
kids
that
I teach. Yeah. I tell the kids I teach, grades are not something that happen to you. You earn grades. They don't like hearing that one.
Yeah. You have to earn them in that competitive offense. And as for the snap count, Schultz jumped up to 79%, 73% last couple of weeks. Jarwin had a season low of 40% this past week, and he didn't see a target. I think we're going to start seeing Jarwin being phased out to maybe certain 12 personnel type of thing, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, if Schultz is the guy that's on the field for a pass down and he's running a route, he's the guy to have. And that won't change if Gallup comes back. Let's talk a little bit more. Damian Williams, a big pickup last week. Looked solid. Kind of got there as an RB2. He did split a little bit more with this Khalil Herbert, but he split Herbert got the carries. He got a couple carries towards the goal line there I saw, but Damian Williams is getting the pass down work, which is what we want. I think he did come in and score a touchdown after Herbert got stuffed a couple times. I think they wanted to do a little bit of a committee approach, but Damian Williams is just way better than Herbert, and it was pretty clear this past Sunday. What do you think?
Herbert played 53% of snaps, saw 18 carries. Like it was a very surprising workload for a guy that a lot of people profiled as a bit of a scat back.
Yeah.
And he didn't see any receptions. So I do the real issue with Herbert, like he played well this week. He was fine. But the issue and the volume's lovely, but the real issue came when he didn't score in the red zone. He got those touches. He did get that role, and he couldn't get it done. Damien Williams came in and got it done. You have to wonder if Damien Williams gets that going forward.
Yeah.
And I think we saw that Damien Williams is getting the passing work. And when you got Green Bay on the
Yeah.
horizon, Tampa Bay on the horizon, that's Damien Williams game script.
Yeah, Damien Williams saw 15% of the targets too on that team. That's a really solid number for a running back. And like I said, Khalil, like you said, it jumps out to you like 18 touches. That's a lot. 18,
It's a lot.
Like
For a rookie.
but those are a lot of
rookie too.
like he got stuffed at the goal line a couple times. Outside of those, a lot of empty calories is the way I put it. A lot of touches there. You're getting a few yards here and there, and he ends with 18 touches and 9 points. That's not really what we want out of our running backs. So let's move on here. Trey Lance can run.
Little thing on the end.
Not seeing the field well, not the starter when Jimmy's healthy. Just to kind of reiterate that if you were hoping for him to kind of break out and be your guy for the rest of the year, you're going to have to be patient. And I don't know if you can burn a roster spot for him much longer, especially in little shallow bench leagues. But let's talk about Ricky Seals-Jones. Tell me more.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to quickly give Ricky Seals-Jones a little shout out here because he saw 8 targets last week. 8 targets. He played 99% of snaps. He missed what? I believe I put down 1 snap in this game. He missed 1 snap. He saw 8 targets. Now, Logan Thomas is out. He will continue to be out for the next couple of weeks. Ricky Seals-Jones is now back-to-back weeks with over 93% of snaps. This is his role. Whether he can make something of it, he dropped another touchdown today, or yesterday. So maybe I don't think he's really that great, but the usage is real. And I think you can play him next week against KC. That's a shootout. KC has struggled to stop the tight end. If he's on the field, he's running around. Yeah, that defense. Daniel Sorensen cannot be an NFL player much longer. So the Chiefs won't be able to stop anyone. So if Curtis Samuel is out, if Diami Brown's out, if Logan Thomas is out, I mean, who else is going to catch the ball other than Terry McLaurin? And it could just be Terry. We've seen that.
I hope so.
But
Ricky
Seals-Jones might be a sneaky play. And I'll quickly give another shout out, be real quick because we're running long, of Dan Arnold. Got traded, last week. He saw 32% of his snaps last week. Jumped that to 73% this week. Also targets. He catches 64 is a pretty solid week for tight end. He happened to fumble, so it didn't feel that way. But that's someone else to keep an eye out for. 6 for 64 is a very promising line. The game scripts are going to be good for Jacksonville. And maybe Dan Arnold is the biggest beneficiary of that DJ Chark injury.
Woof, dude.
It's worth throwing out there.
All I have to say is woof. Dan Arnold, the mailman. But good one. I mean,
yes.
We're scraping the bottom of the barrel at tight end every week anyway, especially if you didn't get one of the top 6 guys. Kittle's hurt. I thought Cameron Brate was going to save the day for me. That wasn't the case. But Ricky Seals-Jones, a quick little fact here, had 20% of the targets on that team. Logan Thomas hasn't had 20% of the target share in any of the games he played in, which is bizarre to me. But it does make sense with Samuel going out, Diami Brown going out. There's just not a whole lot of there aren't many people to throw the ball there in Washington. And Heineke does he's not going to read the field and spread the ball around. Like he's going to lock onto his first or second read and just fire it away. And thankfully, it seems like Ricky Seals-Jones is able to get open. And we know Terry McLaurin is a lot like Waffle House. He's always open too.
Yeah, and both these guys are on the wire. We had some tight ends are disappointing. Some tight ends are injured. These guys you can pick up and play for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Man, couldn't be me though. I was all over Kelsey.
No one wants to, but you.
Yeah, could not. But some people decided to fade tight end early. But I mean, Darren Waller kind of didn't get there. But let's move on to let's close it out here. What do you think? We got Ravens and Colts tonight. The Ravens are at home. I just think this sets up just to be an absolute shellacking by the Ravens. It just seems
Really?
like when they like prime time at home, like they beat the brakes off the Patriots that one year when the Patriots were really good. They just seem to do really well at home in prime time, and they're getting healthier every week. They get a little bit healthier. They're trending in the right direction in that department. Who we got here? Who are we looking for? We had a couple rants.
Listen, but I like to rant, and the guy I think that we're going to see it out of tonight is a guy who wasn't even active for the Ravens last week.
Oh,
It's Tyson
let's
Williams.
go. Let's
I think
go.
this is Tyson Williams is the guy that I'm putting in my captain spot right now. As I speak, I just put him in right now. Um, I know my roommate's not listening to this, so I can say it right now because I play him in this. It's a 1-on-1 between us. Big bragging rights. Tyson Williams is the guy that I think is going to be going off tonight. I think last week was a bit of a lesson for him. This is a young guy, second year in the league. Um, brand new, thrust into this role, has been a yards per carry fiend for the first few weeks. And while he had a fumble in week 2, that was a pretty ugly one. But I think last week being a healthy scratch, I think that was a lesson for him. I don't
Did
think
he
the
do some
Ravens are.
soul searching? Did he do some
Yeah,
soul searching?
I think the Ravens want Tyson Williams to be good. I think he fits that J.K. Dobbins role in this offense where Latavius Murray fills the Gus. There was also that weird report about, I don't know if you saw it,
Oh
about
yeah.
teams being interested in the Ravens running backfield for trades. Why? First of all, why? But push that aside. This is a showcase night. If anybody wants to get traded here, it's either Latavius or it's listen. One way or another. Either way, both have to look good, and Tyson Williams is the one with juice. I'm putting Tyson Williams in my captain spot and expecting a pretty solid night from him, even against a stingy Colts front. But
Yeah.
Tyson Williams is the guy I think that's going to play well tonight. And I am
You-
disappointed. On a side note, disappointed Rashad Bateman's not out there. I thought this was going to be Bateman's debut, but next week.
That would have been cool.
He's practicing
That
for
would've
2
been cool.
weeks now, but next
That
week.
was cool.
Next week.
I think I'm with you there. That weird report about them inquiring about Ravens running backs, teams inquiring about Ravens running backs. They're not calling about Le'Veon Bell because he was a free agent forever. They're not calling
Not
about
Devonta
Devontae
Smith.
Freeman, dusted.
Oh, Devonta Freeman, yeah.
I doubt that teams are calling about Latavius Murray. I mean, he got cut, right? They're calling about Tyson Williams because they saw that Tyson
They
Williams
saw he was a healthy scratch.
was a healthy scratch.
And-
They're like, he should not be a healthy scratch. Like, we'll take him. If you're going to healthy scratch him, we want him. So I'm with you. Tyson Williams, lock it in. And let's take it to the moon. Tyson Williams. I need him in a couple leagues. I'm not going to lie.
Listen, I trade him away and I felt really great in a dynasty, and I'm tempted to try to trade for him back in the next 10 minutes, but we'll see.
The buy low window is rapidly closing.
The buy low window is rapidly closing.
All right. Well, let's take this out here. This has been the Monday Night Hammer. I am at Run the Sims here with Michael Sicoli. You can find him on Twitter at Michael __. Don't forget the second underscore Sicoli. You can find all of our content at forfantasysakeqc.com, the Quad Cities only and best source for fantasy football content. We're brought to you by the Mobile Party Experience. And you can follow For Fantasy Sake at FFSQC on Twitter. And good luck out there, everybody. Take care.
Yep. Enjoy Monday Night Football. It's a good one.